This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, April 2019. Thanks to, April 2019. Thanks to Facebook's On This Day feature and me posting something about this series. I found out about this, and this is on this day a couple years ago. You may be thinking, wait a minute, that's a little too recent, don't you think? But no, it actually is a very massive upset of sorts. Yes, I did the North Stars Blackhawks upset 2 days ago, but this one is even bigger. Now, the 2019 playoffs had St. Louis win their first Stanley Cup ever after 3 losses in the finals in 68, 69, 70. So the Blues finally got their Stanley Cup. Another team that's got a Stanley Cup before the Leafs did, by taking down Boston in Game 7. Tampa was the best team in the league. They had the most points, and they looked really good. All that. However, the playoffs would be a bit of a clusterfuck, if you will. For the first time in NHL history, every division winner were eliminated in the first round as all the wild cards advanced to the second round. Now, to explain, in 2014 or 15, 14 or 15, can't remember, they decided to make it into divisions and basically make it that the top team in each division would face a wild card team in the first round of the playoffs. Second and third in the division would meet each other. Basically, the top 3 teams in each division would qualify. Second would play third, and first would play like a wild card. The 2 best teams by points, even if it's from the same division, like the 4th and 5th place from the same division, or the 2 4th place teams in the conference in their divisions, that will be your matchup, and they would face basically the wildcard team with the highest point total would face the division leader with the lowest point total. I'll give you an example of it when we get to the first round of 2019 playoffs, and that's in that series. So basically, it was the first time the President's Trophy winners were swept in the opening round, and the first time since 2012 that the President's Trophy winners were knocked out in the opening round as is. That was Vancouver, trying to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals after their 2011 shit show against the Blue Crew. Calgary was the best team in the conference, but shockingly lost in 5 games to the Colorado Avalanche, the youngsters. And sure, for the first time in NHL history, neither of the conference's number 1 seeds went to the second round. Nashville and Washington both were division winners, and they both fell. Nashville lost Game 6 in overtime to Dallas, and Washington lost to Game 7 on a Justin Williams overtime goal to Carolina, which was amazing. And also, for the first time since 2012, none of the previous year's conference finalists had made it to the second round. And for the first time in league history, 3 series were in Game 7 overtime. I didn't know that. That's the first time that ever happened? Wow. So, anyway, the Blues won the Stanley Cup, but they got 26 games in a postseason, which 26 out of a possible 28 games. So they tied the 87 Flyers, the 04 Flames, the 2014 Kings, and the 2015 Lightning for most playoff games in a postseason, 26. The record was broken by the 2020 Dallas Stars. However, it was an expanded playoff format because of COVID. So basically, I don't count that. So the Blues in 2019 joined the 2014 Kings as the most games played by a Stanley Cup winner in a 16-team format. So, to explain, St. Louis beat Winnipeg in 6 games in the first round. They had to go to Game 7 thanks to Patrick Maroon's overtime goal to sink Dallas. And then they took down San Jose in 6, St. Louis and Boston in 7. So that meant 6-7, 6-7, which is 26 out of a possible 28 games. So, the 2 wildcard teams. So the 2 wildcard team. So the playoff format in the Eastern Conference were listed. Tampa won the Atlantic, with Boston and Toronto falling behind. Washington was the best team in the Metro, with the Islanders in Pittsburgh, 2-3. Columbus and Carolina made it on points, both from the Metro. So that meant, and because Carolina had more points than Columbus, Carolina got to face the weaker 1 seed. That was Washington, whereas Columbus would be forced to play Tampa. But man, things were in for a ride. Tampa was the best team with 128 points. Columbus only had 98 points. They were the second wild card. That shows you how hard it was. 98 points just to make the playoffs. They only were 30 points behind their opponents. Compare that to series like the Kings Oilers in 1982 with their upset. It's like there were more points than that. The Blue Jackets swept Tampa. Tampa was actually up 3-0 in game 1 and choked, which was one of the most shocking things you could probably imagine. Alex Killorn, Anthony Cirelli, and Yanni Gourde made it 3-0. Halfway through the second period, Nick Foligno, who is now a Leaf, made it 3-1. And then the third period, they're still down 3-1. They scored 3 goals in the third period. David Savard, Josh Anderson, who's now a Canadian, and Seth Jones. Yes, Popeye Jones' son. So anyway, Tampa was down 4-3. It's okay. It doesn't make sense. However, Matt Duchene put up a 3-point night to send Columbus to a 5-1 win over Tampa in Game 2 in Tampa in a 2-0 series lead. Sadly, though, for Tampa, Nikita Kucherov got suspended for Game 3 for an illegal hit to the head. Sergei Bobrovsky went on fire, making 30 saves, and Columbus won 3-1. Tampa just choked in Game 4. They lost 7-3. Tampa got swept. And the funny thing is, they only scored 5 goals in the last 11 periods of the series. Games 2, 3, 4, and the 2 periods in Game 1. Wow. Columbus, by comparison, put up 19. That's amazing. Tampa could not believe their luck. Columbus just, how did they do that? All that. In the meantime, Boston crushed the Leafs in Game 7 and basically led to Jake Gardiner being dealt from Toronto because they needed a scapegoat. Brock McGinn was the guy who scored the winning goal, the Game 7 winning goal in overtime against Washington. I thought it was Justin Williams. But anyway, yeah, it's McGinn. So Carolina shockingly beat Washington, and the Islanders swept Pittsburgh, which was amazing. I mean, like, holy smokes. This is Pittsburgh after all. After losing 4-3 in overtime, Pittsburgh only scored 1 goal in each of the last 3 games, which is pretty amazing, if you ask me. So, yeah. Columbus would go on to take a 2-1 series lead against Boston in the second round. Unfortunately, though, Boston would basically take Columbus flat. Meanwhile, Carolina swept the Islanders, which was shocking and all that. Now, the Islanders were swept the series after they swept their opponents. The 93 Sabres were the last team to have that done. Sabres swept Boston, shockingly, in that playoff series, and then they lost by swept to Montreal. The Eastern Final, Boston easily took care of Carolina in a sweep. So Carolina swept the others, and then they got swept themselves. So, yeah, they did it again. Meanwhile, St. Louis had to deal with San Jose with a 6-game series and all that. So, yeah, Stanley Cup Finals, St. Louis shocked everyone by winning 3 of their 4 games at TD Garden in Boston. They only won 1 game at home out of the 3 on the finals. So that was Game 4. That was a pivotal Game 4. But anyway, yeah. So that's all there is to it. So, congratulations to Columbus. They shocked the world. And with 62 wins, Tampa joined the 96 Red Wings for most wins in a regular season, but they both did not win the Stanley Cup. Although Detroit lost in the conference finals, Tampa lost in the first round. A massive choke job. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.